Hello, my name's Duncan and welcome to Back Away from Donkey and Back Books. Today I had this urge to do a tag. I've not done one for quite a while, so I went all searching back in who's tagged me and what have you, and I found this one. I was tagged about 2-3 months ago by Gavin at Genre Books, and it was originally, let me get my faithful tablet, and it was originally done by Book Chat with Pat 8668, who I personally don't know as a booktuber, so I will actually have a look at her stuff. And I'll put links to the channels down below, so you should go and have a look. I've got all the notes here on my sadly battered tablet I recently dropped. Let's see if I can... 2 seconds. Don't know if you can see on here. I dropped it and I managed to crack the screen. So I've got to work out if I can get that replaced. Because poor battered thing. So I've got my notes here anyway. We've got a few of the books here. And this is called the Rock On Rap Songs book tag. And it was an original tag created by Nicole's Bookish Nook. So, Gavin at Genre Tags was tagged by Book Chat with Pat. But I'm going to tag her, put her in this as well anyway. Because, hey, I mentioned the name. And it's probably a channel I should go and check out. So the prompts. Nice quick one. It's a Hard Knock Life by Jay-Z. Well, I think of it as from the musical Annie. It's sort of the very questionable musical Annie, where this very old guy goes and adopts a young girl orphan, which always sounds a bit suspect to me. But anyway, a fictional non-fiction book about an orphanage, a poor family, or an orphan. I'm going to pick a very rarely talked about book, which is Robert Heinlein's Orphans in the Sky, which actually is technically 2 books, because the second part is Universe, and they were published differently in the magazines. But it is about a ship in space that was sent off to, can't remember the name of the planet. I've not read this for a long time. And there was a mutiny on board, and then the place has almost gone backwards. So people are living on it, and they sort of realise they're on a ship. But like technology's almost come back as a religion, and it's all following through these ideas. And it's ideas that has been used quite a few times. There's a Canadian program called The Star Lost from the mid-70s. It was actually sort of co-written by Harlan Ellison, but there's a long, weird story about it. I quite like it, even though it's quite long and drawn out. And that played with a similar idea about a spaceship being in space for so long that bits of it turn into almost religion. And I've seen it used in a few times. But Orphans in the Sky is very good, because you start off with this young boy who gets put into the sort of technical people who are basically sort of quasi-religious. And it's a really, really interesting book. It's got plays with some quite interesting ideas that other people played with later on. So if you've not read it, Orphans in the Sky is an interesting Heinlein book. Not one of his best, but it's a very, very interesting book. I hope I've managed to make that make sense. It's trying hard to remember because I've not read it for a long time. I was just trying to think of a book. And Orphans in the title. Anyway. 2, Walk This Way by Aerosmith, featuring Run DMC. Oh, you go for the original one, but didn't beat them. A favourite book of yours that blends genres. I'm a big fan of science fiction that feels like fantasy. Things like Julia May's Many Coloured Land, Shadow of the Torturer, Gene Wolfe. But I'm going to pick, I've got it here, Patrick Tilley's The Amtrak Wars. It's the first book, Cloud Warrior. The earlier covers are slightly better than this, but I've lost my earlier cover one. And you have, it's a mixture of technology and magic. You have these big tanks from this group of people that survived a sort of post-apocalyptic world by living underground and all their technology. And they come up to basically fight these other people, the mutes. And they have magic flying around as well. It's quite an interesting concept. I know they've sort of got a bit of a cult following. I've not read them for quite many years. I keep meaning to get back into them. Won't do this year because I'm busy this year. But if you haven't ever checked them out, I don't know if they're out of print or not. So you might have to pick up some second-hand copies. But hopefully they might be on ebook or something if you're not. But they're well worth a read. So it's Patrick Tilley, Amtrak Wars. Sorry if I sound a bit vague. So I said I've not read some of these books for quite a long time. It's trying to sort of reach back into my memory. Just Lose It. This is prompt number 3 by Eminem. A book that you think is funny or ridiculous. Said in a bad way. Well, I'm going to pick Piers Anthony's Bio of a Space Tyrant, which is funny in a bad way, but I still enjoy the book. It follows the main character, who's called Hope Hubris. Yes, honestly, Hope Hubris. And it follows his rise from sort of down and out and poor family to becoming literally a space tyrant. It's a bit grim in points. There's quite a lot of raping and pillaging, but it's very pulpy. But I find it quite fun, but it's funny, and I'm not sure it's meant to be funny. There's about 6 books in the series. As with a lot of Piers Anthony stuff, he kept them going too long. This would have been better off as like 1 or 2 books. So once you get past those, it's sometimes worth sort of reining back. He did, because the way he works, or the way he used to work, was a bit weird. But yes, Piers Anthony, Buy of a Space Tyrant, and as much as I have ethical problems with Garb August, perfect book for that. Perfect book for that. Okay, so number 4 is Thunderstruck by AC/DC. A book that shocked you in a good or bad way. Easy one. Damnation Game, Clive Barker's first book. I read this. I can't remember why I picked it up, but it is quite bizarre, quite gruesome, quite everything. And I actually lent it to my dad, and my dad was only ever into thrillers and stuff, and he came back and said, "You actually read this sort of stuff?" But yeah, it's Clive Barker. Clive Barker's his prose is great, and he's just a great writer. So Damnation Game was his first published novel, and especially if you're into horror, well worth a read. If you've not got it, but if you're into horror, you must have read Clive Barker by now. So, Welcome to the Jungle, which is prompt 5, Guns N' Roses. A book about LA, or a book that plays taste around LA. Well, I'm going to pick The Wild Shore, Kim Stanley Robinson. I've not read this yet. I'm a big fan of Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars series. I read them on release, and I've read them a couple of times since, and I've really enjoyed them. And this is his sort of Orange County, California books. There's 3 of them. You can read them separately, but they do sort of link. And this is the first one, is The Wild Shore, which I am reading this year. That's the plan anyway. The plan is to have a buddy read with somebody for this. So I'm really quite looking forward to getting onto this. And I love these covers. These are the original covers. And similar covers to what they have on the Mars series of books. But if you like your science, Kim Stanley Robinson's the man to go. So, next one. Fight for Your Right to Party, The Beastie Boys. A book centered around a celebration. I struggled with this one. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head. The nearest thing I could think of was the Fellowship of the Ring, with the big party at the beginning. And that's... yeah, I'm going to go with that, because that's all I can think about. I was trying to rack my brain and trying to find what I had. Looked on my bookshelves, couldn't think of anything. 8. Firestarter by The Prodigy. A book that has fire in the title or has an orange-red cover. Well, I'm going to give you my original paperback of Fahrenheit 451. And it's a masterpiece. You should all read it. No matter what, everybody should read it. It's an absolute masterpiece. It's not long, won't take much of your time. And it's got 157 pages. What's that? Just read it. It's Bradbury. Prose is beautiful, and it's just a stunning book. So just go and read it. See, I want you to read it. Number 9, which is the final one. Humble by Kendrick Lamar. I don't even know who Kendrick Lamar is. Is it because I'm old? He's obviously somebody knows. A fictional non-fiction book that left you stunned at the audacity of the main character or writer. I'm going to pick... oh, did I pick it up? Ah, there it is. Everest, The Hard Way. Chris Bonington, a British explorer and climber. And this is from 1970... I think it's out of print. In 1975, when he tried to go a different face of Everest. And it's not like it was, it's not opened up like it did in 1999. Everybody wasn't doing Everest, and there wasn't millions of people up there. But the thing about it is, you're reading it, and it's a total memoir thing. It's really interesting. I found this a couple of years back, and they keep talking about such and such a person died. And it's just the way they talk about this. So and so died climbing in an offhand way, and they just say, but we carried on. And it's just really, really weird about how it's obviously some sort of mindset they have to get into, but it was, in some ways, it was quite shocking the way it was in such an offhand manner. But I'm sure it's got to be some way they process it, and the only way they can continue doing what they're doing. So yeah, so if you ever find this book, Everest the Hard Way, book Chris Bonington, I think actually when I entered it on my Goodreads, and I discovered that even though it was out of print in the UK, it had reprints in India or something in the English language. But if you ever come across a copy, it's well worth a read, especially if you like a sort of adventure type books. So yeah, that's it. So that's the tag. I said I was tagged by Gavin, and it was originally from Nicole's Bookish Nook, and Book Chat with Pat tagged Gavin, so I'm tagging her as well. So she's wondering what's going on now, but I'll go pop across and look at her channel. I don't know who I'm tagging, because I think a lot of people have done this already, but I'll have a look and I'll probably put some tags at the bottom, and so if you come up, I'm sorry, or great. But yeah, so that's my Tag Tuesday, and it was a bit offhandish, and I had to try and remember books I haven't read for decades, which is always quite hard, but no matter what, read Fahrenheit 451. And I will speak to you all very soon. I've got some more videos coming out this week, and my normal links are down the bottom. You can have a look at my reading spreadsheet. You can join me on Discord, me and about 2 other people on my Discord channel, which I'm trying to big up at the moment. And there's my blog down there as well, which I put up a new article on Roger Zelazny short stories a few days ago, to sort of as a companion piece to my last video. But there's enough of self-promotion. And I'm not going to say the famous words that every YouTuber says, which I never do. See if you can guess what they are. Anyway, I speak to you all very soon, and have a good day. Bye-bye.